special meeting, Registrar of Voters, redistricting presentation. Take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you. Lou Fiore, Democratic Registrar of Voters.
Tom Kinsler, Republican Registrar of Voters.
And thank you very much for having us tonight. We wanted to get here as soon as we could after your budget, since there's a lot of things that need to proceed between now and November concerning this issue. So I'm going to get right into the presentation, if I may, and then take some questions afterwards, if that works all right with everybody. So as again, you can see, this is our presentation, Registrar of Voters, for the redistricting proposal we're going to present to you tonight. Very quickly, by statute, to the best of our ability, we attempted to balance out the 4 municipal districts by overall population, not by registered voters. This can be a difficult task, as the census data is provided to us in census blocks, not by street, and some of these census blocks are even split between council districts. We were unable to account for only 278 residents out of the 40,013 residents in town. And Tom and I had a variety of different formulas that we doubled and triple checked. So we're very confident with that, which we think is really below even the 1 percentile. So we felt pretty confident with the numbers we were dealing with. Just as background, any and all proposed, and I'm sure Attorney Talbot and Town Clerk Bailey will answer any questions on this. Any and all proposed municipal district changes must be approved by the Town Council via public hearing and a resolution. In addition, during the upcoming November 2022 election, the Enfield residents must vote and hopefully approve whatever plan you guys want to adopt. It's a requirement under our town charter. If passed, these changes will be in effect for the November 2023 municipal election and for all future municipal elections after that until 2033. Should be noted that the current margin, using the 2020 census data, between the largest district, which is 2, and the smallest district, which is 1, is only 560 residents. Separating them. Thus, the council can consider leaving the current council districts in place without any changes at all. With only 560 separating them, that is an option you do have if you so desire. In the new proposed plan that Tom and I are going to present to you tonight, the margin between the largest district, which would then be 4, and the smallest district, which is 1, would only be approximately 84 residents.
If you choose to not do anything, we feel that the next time this comes up, it'll be magnified. So the goal has always been, through history, to keep it as balanced as possible. And that's the way we came at it.
Yeah, just by maybe kicking the can down the road. And that's a lot of us, we feel, for the demographics of the District 2 changing over time. It'll be changed more over the next 10 years. So the proposed district changes that Tom and I are proposing to you is that moving into Council District 1 from Council District 4 would be the south side of Middle Road, the east side of Beach Road, and the Mark Twain area, the cutout that most of you are pretty familiar with the current map. Moving into District 3 from District 4 would be the Cozy Street area. And if you guys have your iPads, I think the map is on there on one of the slides. Moving into District 4, into District 3 from 4 would be the Cozy Street area. And basically, that's just one little area up there by Bacon Road that would balance out the numbers and make things within that 84 projectile. That's why we're recommending that. It really doesn't affect too many people. Matter of fact, that would be an easier. Matter of fact, even the first recommendation, we believe the residents benefit from that because it's easier for them to get to JFK than it is for them to get over to Henry Barnard. And the same thing with the second option, moving into District 3 from 4, the Cozy Street area would then be voting at the annex instead of Henry Barnard. So again, it'd be easier for those residents to vote. And then finally, moving into District 4 from District 2 would be the remaining Mount Carmel neighborhood. Right now, that neighborhood, as you know, the cutout goes down to Sumner and then down Belmont. So it splits that neighborhood in half. And believe me, I'll be honest with you, when Tom and I started this process back in February, I think our intent was to really look at the other way around, was to put Mount Carmel neighborhood back together but put it back into 2. But when you look at the numbers for District 2, it just didn't work out that way, and this is one of the only options. We had to take people out of District 2.
One of the things we did when that came up is just to be doubly sure. We did a lot of checks and balances. We got in the car together and drove the neighborhood and literally counted doors in dwellings just to make sure, because we're looking at plots on maps, and they show a dwelling, looks like a one-family house, but it's probably not. So we went on and we added all those up and did what the averages had shown so far to really, really get it as close as we could to being accurate. So we didn't skip a 20-person tenement and count it as 3.
Yeah, one of the things we're not allowed to do is we're not allowed to conduct really our own census. We are allowed to be able to try to verify the data that we do have. So we have to be cognizant of that when we do physical drive-bys. So we're not allowed. I'll give you a perfect example. Mayfield Place, I think you all know where that is, right out in District 4, out by Shaker Pine. It's a new, wonderful, beautiful apartment complex. Well, the census data only had 100 people living there. Well, we all know at this point in time, when we did our plan here, we know that more than 100 people live there. We can't take that into consideration. We have to deal with the data that was given to us.
Which will be the same next time. Next time there may be something else either going away or coming in that we have to go by the previous census the year before or 2 years before.
Moving on, I want to give you these detailed numbers. In District 1, if you went with our recommendation, the new plan would have 9,935 residents. If you want to remain as is, it would have 9,710 residents. District 2, the new plan would have 9,952 residents. If you want to remain as is, it would have 10,270 residents. District 3, the new plan would have 9,882 residents. Remain as is, 9,838. District 4, the new plan has 966 residents. Remain as is, 9,917. And we want to just give you those gross numbers so you can get a feel for what we were looking at. What I have here is the current. I know it's very difficult. We actually had to scan this in, and
we can't see that, but you guys can on your laptops.
Yeah, this is the current council map.
Proposal.
No, this is the current one from 2012. We wanted to give you that so you had a start.
That's what you just looked at here.
And this is the proposed one. The 3 changes, I don't really have a pointer. The 3 changes are certainly that far green box to the east is, we go into District 2, and that's just to keep the boxes contiguous. There's no voters in that. That's the, goes down from Palumba over to Freshwater. That's just to keep the box, get rid of the cutout and make it more uniform. There's no voters in that box.
It looks square now.
It looks nicer. It doesn't hurt anything. The blue box you see right below it is what we say is the current cutout now that would go into District 1. That's the Middle Road, Beach Road, Mark Twain area.
That used to be up in 4.
All that used to be in 4. And you look over, for those of you who know where Mount Carmel is, over on the west side, the farthest corner of that orange, that is now all orange. It's not mixed between District 2 and 4. And I'm not even going to try to, those of you who know where Cozy Street and Bacon Road is, you probably can see on that map where that is.
But a good example of why you do things, when I was on the council, I had the Beach Road. And that was moved strategically because it fit and it touched, so it needed to move. But the reality of it is, when you can avoid doing that because of the distance, the neighborhoods are not the same. Nobody up in 4 really has anything to do with Mark Twain unless they have an elderly parent. But people down on Beach Road do, and they care about it. So that really moving its district appropriately kind of keeps it in the neighborhood. And that's another thing you try to think about when you make any of these moves, like people getting to the polling place, as Lou mentioned before.
Yeah, we really wanted to try to put some neighborhoods back together again. And our intent was to do that one way or the other. Certainly I remember the cutout because I worked on that 2002 plan when we did that cutout. So it'd be nice to get rid of the cutout at this point. Just to mention this, because I know that a couple of you might have some questions about this, we just wanted to throw this slide in just so that people knew also, because we know somebody might be watching on TV. Basically, the State Assembly redistricted itself, as you're well aware. We had to implement those changes. We had no say in them. We had no discussion. We were given the work to do, and we did that back in February, right after we met with you in January. We implemented these changes. So there were some minor changes made to the 58th and 59th State Assembly districts as it pertains to Enfield, major changes to that district. But as far as Enfield's concerned, and really the only changes we had to make were basically these streets were removed from the 59th and are now in the 58th. And that's, some of these streets were partially in both down through the center line, but now they're completely in the 58th. Edwards Street, Avon Street Extension, Essex Street, Beverly Street, Carlisle Street, top of Oldfield Farms, north side of Middle Road, and a portion of Hazard Avenue. Their voting location did not change. They're still going to vote at the annex, but instead of going, the state elections going into the 59th line, they now go into the 58th line. And all those residents, so it's about 100, I think, give and take, were all notified by letter from us of that change and that their polling place did not change. So I thought I'd just mention that in case you get asked that question.
It also smooths out the square. You know,
Yeah.
It was down the street, up, over, down, back down the street. Now that's been pushed back up.
Yes, nice even cut out there. So
I
again,
see
we,
my neighbor voting where I'm voting. You get less of that now.
yeah, nice. I'm really glad the state implemented that change. It really makes a lot of sense, and I think it made sense for the Anfield residents.
The other thing, just that, not that it matters, but like for East Windsor in the 59, they did a major shift over there of residents. It's like 4,700 on the census moved from one to the other. Luckily in Enfield, it was just a small little tiny piece. Stuck.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
Johnny.
Thank you. All right, Alex.
Stay here, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. I knew the keyboard wasn't working. So in summary, basically, as you can see, we provided you with two options. One is you can adopt the proposed plan, or you can have the current districts remain as is. I should have put a third option if you have some suggestions for us, but we're kind of running out of time on that.
You got the deadline dates?
I'm not sure if Sheila Bailey has a deadline dates, but as you know, as I mentioned before, you have some things to do over the summer, and usually you don't really meet in August. So recommendations for us to go back, we might not have enough time to get back to you in time for you to proceed for having this go to referendum.
Into SOTS, we have to have, by statute, the referendum question, if that's what's going to happen. That has to be in September.
Yeah, September something.
The last day for the municipality to pass a question for the ballot is 9/8.
Yeah, so September 8th, which is right after
It's
Labor
a
Day.
November thing, but it's a September drop dead date.
And as we said before, I'm pretty sure that there has to be a resolution on your part prior to that and a public hearing, and who wants to do things in August. So, but again, we're open. You know, we don't want to say we're not open to things. So I think that's the end of our presentation. We'll take questions.
Perfect. Thank you. Questions, Cindy?
Thank you both. I know you put in a tremendous amount of time and hard work, and thank you for doing that. The question that I have, the next step then would be for council to decide whether to accept option 1 or 2. Should we decide to go with the change to the redistricting, then we would prepare a resolution to have the public hearing, and then it goes on for referendum?
Right.
Okay, and it would be voted on in November?
It'd be like, in the beginning of July or
Okay.
for, like a target.
So there's still a little bit of time.
There's still a bit of time. Yeah. I mean, it's your time, not our time. We have plenty of time. We do have an August election, but it's really your time and things you're up against to have this done in time. That's one of the reasons why we really wanted to come tonight.
Yeah.
We waited for you guys to finish the budget.
Next meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thank you very much.
Right. We only have one meeting in July and one meeting in August,
Right.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a time.
Absolutely. Nick?
You mentioned the thought that if we don't make these changes now, it may be harder in the future. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have thought about what that might look like in 10 years, just
Yeah.
assuming the current population trend.
With the trends, you'd see probably a District 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think when you look at the demographics, thanks for the question, Councilman Hopkins. So now you're going to write up my bailiwick. So knowing the demographics of the town, having done this particular function twice before in my lifetime, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it a fourth time. No, I'm not. The demographics, basically what happened, we saw with the census data was that we don't believe the turnover of households has occurred in District 1 yet. We think there's a lot of people that are still holding on to their homes in that district that probably no children are there.
But it will.
But we've seen that turnover in District 4 and District 3 at this point over the last few years. You can tell by the registrations that come in the office, the changing of the families, the younger families moving. And we haven't quite seen that in District 1 yet. We think that's going to happen over the next 10 years. That would kind of make sense when you think about the age brackets. In addition to that, we also believe, Tom and I, when the census was done in 2020 or a little later next year, there was a little bit of an extension. There was full occupancy in District 2 in all the apartments, and that's why the numbers came in high. But we think that's going to kind of remain, especially what might be happening around the train station, possibly condominiums or more apartments. So we do see having to physically, like we did this time, recommend a physical change to District 2. We didn't anticipate that. So we see with the density of District 2 increasing, that 10 years from now, who's ever doing this is probably going to have to make District 2 even physically smaller.
Right.
And the only other place really you can make District 2 physically smaller that makes any sense would be to cross the street from Mount Carmel neighborhood, which is the Lynch Road. I forgot the other street over there. Would be to put that into District 4. Because, you want to try to keep natural things together and neighborhoods together.
You can't move certain things.
Yeah.
It has to have a natural boundary, like a river or a street that connects, and you can't just take this half of that street and move it over and call it a day. You have to take that section or that street or two out of there. It can get difficult.
Yeah, so that's just thinking 10 years down. That could change. But if you ask me today, that's what I would
If
say.
you want my opinion is always do what the state wants you to do if you can. And that's, my recommendation would be to make the changes because it smooths out, it evens things out, it's better for the people. And next time we go to do it, we may or may not have a magnified problem, like Lou was mentioning too. The other thing to consider is, as the housing market changes, big houses may be selling great, or they may be selling terrible. And Cindy knows all about that. And she doesn't have a magic ball to tell you that, but it all depends on a lot of different things. So trying to keep it up to date is, I guess, what I'm saying.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
But we can't tell you. You have to make that decision yourself.
Any other questions? John?
Thank you guys for this work, and that map is always a joy to try to read up close. I just want to be clear. If we make the change, no issue. There's nothing wrong if we don't make those changes. Right?
That's correct.
I mean, there's other than we're a little off balance, anticipating the next time.
I don't
maybe
really know what the state,
just
what everyone else, like, hey, the only town that didn't do anything was Enfield. But it all hedges on the numbers.
on the numbers. So I'm just asking, like, by the numbers and only by the numbers, leaving it alone doesn't create problems.
I think it won't, but I also, if it was 1,000,
Yeah, that's why
$100?
that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
I'd be really uncomfortable with that.
Right now it's only 560 residents. If we left the current plan in place between the largest district and small, and basically even legally, we got a legal opinion that basically we could leave it alone if you guys so desired to leave it alone.
Which we
but in
did.
one aspect it is, kicking the can down the road a little bit, and we did kind of look at it a little bit to try to, reblock the town or get rid of some of the fancy cutouts, and I'm just as much to blame for some of those cutouts. So
The advantages would be, as an unbiased, the advantage for the residents would be, it helps a few of them in where they go to vote and what issues may come up in the area that they happen to live in, as opposed to where the rest of the district is, and, being in their neighborhood. And it evens it out, from let's try to make it as even as possible. So those are the three benefits.
It was always interesting just campaigning on one side of the street.
I used to have to walk, I'll tell you.
Fighting over whose sign.
When they told me I had to get on Beach Road, don't forget about Beach Road. I'm like, where's Beach Road?
Yeah.
Oh, down there, okay. You have to go down and do that street.
So there's history about that.
No, that's,
Councilman Mangini and I probably remember that history with that.
but at the time, that was the thing that needed to be done.
Yeah, it needs to be done. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. All set, John? Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I'll just be quick. I think the new plan is fair. The difference between residents is fairly low. If we remain as is, there's like a 500, 300 difference between residents. I think it's fair. And honestly, I think we should be able to do this in the July meeting where we have a public hearing, which gives people a chance to come here and speak, and then have August or September to vote on it, which should be plenty of time for you folks. I don't see why we can't have a public hearing in July at that meeting. This looks fair to me. I know it's not easy, but the difference between the highest and lowest, about 80 residents, is pretty, and all the other ones are right within the ballgame, not 200, 300, 400 difference, which I think, and I agree, it's going to grow. I think it's going to change actually more than that in the next few years. So I recommend your plan, and I think we should have a public hearing in July meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Looks like no more any questions from you guys? All right. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it.
If you decide, well, I think I had a quick question if I can.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor. If they decide to do nothing, they still have to have a public hearing and a resolution and on the referendum question? That's the part I'm not clear of.
I would have to check on that. The Charter, Chapter 2, Section 5 says the council shall, from time to time, alter the boundaries. I just reviewed the statute 9-169, and it just seems like you have to do the review. I'm not sure you have to hold a public hearing. I'll have to double check on that.
Okay, so-
I didn't see a requirement.
Okay, so maybe if you don't
We just
decide
want
not
to
to
make
do
sure
anything, might not
all the
have to do
i's are
anything.
dotted and the t's are
Yeah.
crossed in case
Yep.
nothing happens.
So if you do have a public hearing, you'd like us to come back to help you with that, answer any questions, please just let us know. We'd be more than
Absolutely.
glad to.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, good to
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
guys.
Thank you
Good
so much.
seeing you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn the special meeting, please? Second. By Councilor.